we can jump in while people are joining. So everyone, thank you for joining this event. It's Victor is here to talk about IntelliJ tips and tricks. Victor is, I'll let him introduce himself, but he's an amazing trainer. We've had him come into Incubate and train our team several times now, and we hope that he's going to do it more and more as well. And we've thoroughly enjoyed his trainings, which is why we invited him over here. And before you jump into your introduction, Victor, I just want to talk a little bit about this community. So for those of you who haven't attended in the past or who are just joining in, this community is basically something we started, as part of an initiative at Incubate to promote clean coding practices, to promote good SDLC practices. And as part of this initiative, we're inviting people like Victor to come in and talk about good practices and software craftsmanship in particular. So with that, Victor, I think I can hand it over to you if you want to start with a quick introduction, and then we can jump right in.
Thank you. Yes, I will. So let me share my screen first. I have to tell you that software craftsmanship, in my opinion, is like everyone joins their community of their language, like the Java user group or something like that. But the second typical pick is software craftsmanship or software craft people or something like that. And I myself, I am the founder of Bucharest Software Craftsmanship Community, which has grown enormously recently due to having online events all the time. Almost over 3,000 people. If you want to join, the link is in the chat. We do stuff in English. We try to do it monthly. I held more than 100 events myself, and they will keep coming. So usually that's where I try out the idea that I have for different presentations. So my name is Victor Rentea. I'm a Java champion from Romania. I have this community that is very close to my heart. And I have a website on which you can find some talks of mine, different conferences, a very thin blog, and some video courses on Teachable you can get. And I am a trainer. After 14 years of writing code, I'm now teaching and consulting different companies. This is my area of training, like Spring, Hibernate, Java 8+. Design patterns, pragmatic domain-driven design. This sounds so cool. Clean code, test-driven development, reactive programming and performance. This is the stuff that I typically teach almost daily in different companies. Also today, I had earlier in the morning a training on Spring. So if you want to hear more, or if you want to contact me, these are my coordinates. I have a website. You can reach me anytime. Good. So we are gathered here today to talk about IntelliJ, right? So in case you are not using IntelliJ, it will be a painful show to watch, observing things that you don't have in Eclipse, NetBeans, or whatever other editor. But anyway, by the way, before we start, I need to tell you that even if you're using a JetBrains product on a different, web store, PHP store, whatever, data group, these features are still there. Most of them, they replicate in different languages. So try them out in web store, for example. Good. What else do I need to tell you? Well, nothing more. Let's jump right in. So I do need to make one point here. I will show you how to write code insanely fast. Now, why does this matter? Because, the goal, I want to stress this out very clearly. The goal is not to finish work earlier and go home earlier. That's not the goal. The goal is not to make a contest with your colleagues who types the code faster. No. The point for which you need to become faster is that every one of us, when we have to design the solution to a problem, we have at least one or two or three ideas in our head of how can we approach the problem. Most of us, however, at the beginning of the career, that's what I felt. I was investing, let's say, 3 hours in one idea. And then after 3 hours, it became crystal clear for me that it was a bad idea. But despite the fact that I was aware that it's a bad idea, I was afraid, ashamed, lazy to undo my solution and to go in another direction, to design differently the problem. This happens because you invest a lot of time and effort and emotional energy into something that later will prove maybe it's not the best idea. I want you to become fast because I want you to be able to experiment, design ideas without investing and committing a lot of nerves to that. So let's give it a try. How can we type code faster? First of all, imagine you have a person. Oh, and by the way, I almost never define variables. I mean, if you would like to create a person, most people will start person equal, and how much typing equals new person. No, I don't do that. What I do per new person, and then Alt enter, enter. If I press Alt enter, enter, it gives me the ending semicolon, and this part was already written for me. So Alt enter, enter. So if you call a function, if you call main, let's say, if you call main, okay, it's a bad idea, but if I call main, Alt enter, enter will oops, this returns void. I was wrong. Another example, person dot get first name. Now, I saw a lot of people typing this expression like person dot get first. What are you doing? You are wasting precious keystrokes, right? The amount of keystrokes in your life is limited. Person get first name. Please mind what turned blue, right? It auto-completed the expression even if you had a dot in between. Okay, I call this the over dot completion. So it will figure out what you want. And this returns a string, of course. And if you want to save the string in a variable, Alt enter, enter again. Semicolon and the type and the reasonable name for the thing that you wanted, that you got back, right? So what we already saw, we saw over dot completion. Let's say get last name this time. Okay. This over dot completion also works if you are using statics. System current time milli, something that we tend to do pretty frequently. System current time millis, and then this returns a long Alt enter, enter, right? T0, and then duplicate the line T1, for example, to see how much time some code took to run. All right, so system.current time millis, I'm typing just system current time millis, nothing more. Good. Now, since we are here, I need to tell you that if you want to get to current time millis, you don't need to actually go system.current time millis. You just have to type the name of the method, current time millis, and then control space once more. In some cases, you have to press control space twice, but this is what you get. You get static suggestions for using methods anywhere in your code base. Let me give another example. Suppose you have a method which is like static, for example, give me something good, okay? And this returns you good, okay? By the way, it turned red, right? I have this, I started writing poetry, you know? Look, when it's red, yellow, blue, or gray, Alt enter will save your day. Now, in case you are on Mac, that turns into option enter, I think. But it's that auto-completion that you press, that whenever you have problems like errors, like warnings or suggestions or typos, all of that should result in a reflex, Alt enter. And after you hit Alt enter, you need to think, what do I want next? Well, I want my method to return a string. And trust me, after several months of practice, you will know which come the first of suggestions. And this, I knew that this is the first suggestion. So I'm not just typing Alt enter, enter blindly because I knew the order. But the point is Alt enter. Whenever something, oh, hey, here is a bug, you know, this is a typo. Something, it figured out. Anyway, and another bug. If I want to call this give me something good from here, I just need to type the first letters of each word. Give me something good. And it's done. Even if this method was in another class, for example, class other, I still do the same. Give me something good, but in one control space didn't give me anything. If I hit control space once more, I get the suggestion. So static method imported by just control spacing twice, and then Alt enter, enter makes the variable for you. Cool. So static completion. If I press control space twice, I get current time millis. Oh, another good one. Assert equals. This is super, super useful. Assert equals. Okay. assert equals. And now, if you do that frequently, you will be annoyed by the fact that it completes with assertions dot. This, in my opinion, I mean, I always want to statically import, right? So let's make an example. Here, if I alt enter again on assert equals, by the way, when I designed this presentation, I had help from people from JetBrains. I don't have any connection physically or commercially with them, but they helped me a bit. And they told me that they have a unit test to check that wherever you press alt enter, there is at least one suggestion shown to you. So as a game for you tomorrow, try to alt enter everywhere to see the suggestions. Some of them are not desirable. For example, this, I wouldn't do that. But others are interesting. For example, alt enter on assert equals gives what? I want to statically import. So I would dare to say that wherever I will do assert equals, I want to statically import. Now, look what I can do over here. If I will press enter, I will get the completion with static method called the full-fledged stuff. But instead of pressing enter, right there in the auto completion, when you are facing a static method, try to press alt enter. Now, who the heck would think about that? I mean, you are in a control space, and then you alt enter again. What the hell, right? Import statically, and there you go. Up above in the class, on the import is the method imported in one single shot. Right? So also starting from the idea that anything you want to import to use statically from everywhere, let's say random, control space twice, guess what? Math random. Okay, good. Now one more thing here, math random less than 5.5. Then if that's the case, then it's a lovely day. Now pay attention. Dot if. What the hell is that? Dot if. What do you mean dot if? If less than dot 5, then S out, you knew S out. Lovely day for crafting. Okay. Now, if the random is like this, it will print this message, random less than dot 5. Now, I will type it again slowly in a different way this time. It appears it wasn't a lovely day, not yet, but let's see, third time is lucky. Come on. Lovely day for crafting, perfect. Now, probably we should increase the probability, right? Like this. Anyway, let's type again. What did I type? I type random, and this is a static method. I know it's a static method. Control space twice, give me that. I could press alt enter and import statically, but I don't want that. Random, I find it better to be placed with math before. And then I typed if. Now, what the heck is that? You type, actually, I typed like this. I typed if after a Boolean condition. Now, that's nonsense. What the heck is that? This is called postfix expansion. There are 3 of them that I want to show you, most useful. Dot if, and then lovely day for crafting. Dot S out. What the heck is that? S out. Guess what? S out. Put it before. So you saw it if, S out. And the third one, my favorite, numbers 4. What do you mean numbers 4? What does that do? It will expand into a for each for that element, for each element in the list. Very, 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 very often we found ourselves looking at navigating a bit. Let's put some string, some private, let's say string of, oh yeah, why not? Who has a single phone today? Okay? Maybe a list of phones, why not? And then this phone, you know what? I have a single phone, but don't tell anyone. So I have now a getter. By the way, how do you generate getters for the phone? You could go with this style, generate, and then you do getter, etc., whatever. But I prefer to just type the name of the thing, get. And now coming back to our, so you see, you can generate getters, you can generate setters, you can generate hash code equals. You don't need to alt insert. You get to the same dialog, to the same things as you would go with alt insert. Right. So just type the thing that you want, what a toString, there you go. Okay, you should just type the stuff and your boilerplate code gets generated automatically for you. But coming back, I want to imagine that this a person has a list of phones. Right? Now, oftentimes you find yourself navigating through some data model to get to a list. Once you got to the list, you want to iterate on the elements. Right? Very easy to do with just .4. And it's very convenient because it tells you automatically, constructs everything. You just have to type. Okay? Right. So these are called postfix expansion because you add them after the expression. And let me try to create another one. Right. Now, I'm quite a big fan of Lombok. So this is adding to my class a field named log. And as you know, maybe, log.debug allows you to print some message. And let's suppose you want to print the phone. Good. Now, we do this quite a lot. We print some log just to the logger. So can we use the same technique that we used previously? Remember, some phone.sout. When we do that, it gets us to system out print line. I want now to create a custom postfix expansion, a custom one, a new one that will expand into this. Let's go to settings. Postfix completion, we can just postfix. This is the only one, postfix completion. And in Java, we will create a new expression. This expression, I will access this expression, this expansion, by just typing the dot and then log, .log, I would say. Applicable since 1.3, since the beginning of days. And it will apply to any expression, let me see, non-void. Yeah, anything that doesn't return void, any expression that is not returning void, I can wrap a log around it, okay? Then what do I want to do? I want to type to it to expand to log debug, and then to say the expression that was written before the dot, and expand it like this. Cool, okay. Let's give it a try. So I will type this string .log. Enter. Done. Postfix expansion. The expression that came before the dot was taken as a whole and then replaced with this string, with this code. Okay. And you can think of a lot of others, but yeah. In my practice, this .for, .if, .sout, .log are enough. There is one more to note, although I don't really like it, but I will show you. I can just say phone.return, and it returns the phone. These are the ones that I found most useful. There are others, as you can see here, the list is quite big, but to me, that are the most important. All right, one more thing. You might be in a team. Let me see the chat. By the way, if you have, in case you have any kind of questions, please don't hesitate to interrupt me, because we are quite many. Maybe use the chat. Okay. If you have some other things that you discover later when you show this to your colleagues, just email me. My email is in the chat. It is also on my site. If you have some other suggestions, some things that you want that you do in this, think they are cool. So coming back to Lombok. Now, many people say that, with Lombok, there is a very love or hate relationship. I never heard someone which was just indifferent to Lombok. You either fully love it or you fully hate it. But the point is, you might be in a team that doesn't use Lombok, and you will then be forced to type code like this: private, static. Oh my God, final, logger. Oh God, log equals logger. No, I don't believe it. Factory dot get logger, and no matter how many tricks I use, I still need to type a lot of stuff. Now, this you will keep writing over and over again. The only thing changing from a class to another will be this baby, this token. So there you go. Let's create from this. Let's create. Let me see if I get it right. A live template. Save as live template. It takes the code that you keep yourself, that you find yourself repeating over and over, and you create it as a live template. Now, what the heck is a live template? I should have started with this. A live template is what happens when you type sout When you type S out in control space, it expands to system out. I want to create a similar live template that will expand to this line, right? Whenever I need a log, okay? So can I do that? Let's see. Adds SLF4J logger. So this is the same, but I would like to shorten fully qualified names. So after after this line is added to some code base, these will be pushed in the import section, and you will see. The problem is that this thing is variable. So let's make it a variable, class name. There you go. Now I have defined a new variable which I can edit. Oh my God. And I think you realize where I'm heading, right? In the expression part, you can actually say that this is the class name, the class name in which I expand this selection. And since I defined it already, I can skip it. It's always the same. Whoa, what the heck are you doing there? So when is this applicable to any Java declaration fields, right? Let's give it a try. Logs, enter. Oh yeah. In other words, that's it. Okay. So I heard of someone on the internet selling on money, not Bitcoin, money, selling his set of live templates to generate Kubernetes scripts. So this can grow into something really valuable. If you find yourself writing the same kind of stuff every day for several months, weeks, do yourself a good, create a little live template, and then there you go. Things can get very interesting. To stick to the same, not Postfix, it was a live template. Where are you? Live template here. To stick to the same example, if I wouldn't have checked this checkbox, this would allow me to define. Look, I can type over, and if I have multiple such tokens, I can do tab to all of them. Right? So it's super interesting, like placeholders when you write your stuff, your custom stuff. But in my case, it's always the same. So I will skip if defined. Of course, do explore this a bit more if you like it, but this is the essence part. Okay, so we saw live template, we saw postfix expansion. I showed you sout, if, for, return, and we made our own custom log. Good. Now, other live templates that come handy if you are on Spring Boot. There you go. If you just type boot, it will create for you the entry point in a Spring Boot application. If you type main, of course, it will create a main function. There are a lot of them, I mean, huge amount of them, and they keep adding to them. Okay, and we created our own logger. Okay, I also have, actually, that doesn't matter much. Good. Let's see next. Let's see. I showed you also how you can generate getters and setters in toString by just typing the thing that you want. So if you want a toString, just type toString, enter, and you get your. In this case, doesn't help much. But if you were in a class that has some fields, the toString that you get is the same thing that you would get if you go with the alt insert generate, the one that you probably are familiar with, toString. Okay, so just type your stuff, don't blind it. I mean, don't, it's easier, I think. Right, okay, now, let's see, now comes the fun part. This was like the warm-up, most of it. Let's see the following example. Imagine that you had some, how to put this? Wait a second. Yeah, you were typing, let's say, sout. No, this puts it on another one. Person, set first name. Now, the example, the best example. Let me have a look here. So chain step completion. Yeah, let's try this. So imagine you want to get the first name of the person. Now, if you, although I said I wouldn't like to start defining the variable, but first write the expression that gets you the value and then define the variable. But still, if you type this way, If you start with person, the suggestions are already there, but there is more than that. Right here, you can type Control-Shift-Space twice. Now, what the heck does that mean? Control space, you know, right? Control space gives you the ways, the ways to finish this expression or what can be completed there. But maybe that's not the perfect example. Let me twist it a bit. Let's imagine that you have another class. Yeah, it's better like this, address. And then here you have a private address. And then I need for this a getter, as you know already, get address. Coming back here, I need to get the address from somewhere. Now, Control-Shift-Space will automatically figure out how to get that address. Based on the context in which you are, it will navigate the model to get to the address, the only way you can get an address in this case. Right? And I have another example for you. Let's imagine that address has an enum and named, let's say, type of address, and it can be home or work, for example. Good. And inside the address, there is a private type, and with a getter, right? For example. And then here somewhere, I have a method that takes the as a parameter an address dot type. I have a method that gets as a parameter a type of an address. Now let's try to call that method. If you call that method over here, method, it should be static, isn't it? Static. If you call that method, now as a parameter, you need to give a type of the address. If you press Control space, you will find a lot of suggestions which are not very helpful. Among them, there are also those that really matter. The values of the address type. However, not Control space you want to click, but Control-Shift space. Now, what is this? Control-Shift space is, we call it type-aware autocompletion. Based on where the cursor is, you need to fetch one of the values from the enum, right? And this restricts your options, your suggestions, to only those that really match the type. You are not given a huge amount of, right? You just are given just those that really matter. So Control-Shift space can restrict the suggestions to only those things that are easy to apply. Let me try another example. Int j equals 1, and you want to put here an int k, for example. And when you call that method, Control-Shift space will suggest j. If you had multiple of those, like j, k, l, then it will show those. Okay. So Control-Shift space. I have a friend that tells me that he never presses Control space anymore. Always Control-Shift space. It restricts down the suggestions to a smaller number. That's the trick I wanted to show you. Okay. We call it type-aware. Where is it? Type safe smart completion. Control-Shift space. It's not that, is it? Control-Shift space is not that. It's Control-Shift space type-aware. Anyway, type safe smart completion. Control-Shift space. Good. Now, one more thing to show you here. Imagine that here, from the, where is the first name? Do I get the first name? Let's get it here. Plus person get first name. Imagine that there comes a change request to change it from first name to last name. What would you do? You will go here. I know that I'm talking about super tiny moves that you do thousands of them per day. The thing is that if you optimize these little nano steps, you can then think of a bigger scope. If you try to change it from first name to last name, and you just start pressing L, you get the suggestion for last name. Now, most of us will press enter now. If you press enter, you then have to go into the, I'm sorry, but monkey mode and do delete, carefully clicking as many deletes as characters, which I find very frustrating and definitely taking me out of my zone. I can't really, I mean, it's distracting me a lot. So instead of doing that, whenever you have a token that you want to replace with another token, the key to press is tab. Again, you are here, right? If you press enter, you get garbage, but if you press tab, it overwrites the token with what you want now to say. If you want to change it to get address, tab again. Okay, so tab instead of enter to override the token that you are currently on. Good. All right. Now, let's change a bit the discussion to a more designish. Let's imagine from now on that the first name and last name are required for this person, but the address is optional. Let's move this comment to address. Imagine that first name and last name are mandatory for the person, but the address, so this is not null. Okay, neither this can be null nor this, but the address is nullable. All right, what can go wrong? Imagine yourself here trying to call the method by going person dot address get type. If you do that, you have a possible null pointer exception. Why? Because get address can be null, right? As we just said. So what can we do? Well, as you probably know already, whenever we are faced with a null, the best way to fix the problem would be to have that method that return me an unexpected null. The best solution would be to turn that method to return an optional of address, right? Now, how can we do that? Well, if you return an optional, or let's write the same thing in two ways. Both of them will show you something new. First of all, note what I typed, option. Now, I can press now two things already. I can press enter, which is good enough. I can press tab, which is not really what I wanted. It overwritten the address, right? It's overrode it's not really what I wanted. Or surprisingly, I can press Control Shift Enter. Now, what the heck happened? Control Shift Enter. What's that? We call it a complete statement. Based on where the cursor was, the reasonable thing to expect was to open this optional, right? So then if I Control Shift Enter, it will get to the most complete possible syntax given the current code. Optional of address. Another example. If you wanted to turn this into a list of addresses, okay, weird example, but list, Control Shift Enter. Let's come back to our optional, and then let's observe that there is a red thing here. Your cursor is here. So folks, I'm teaching you micro optimizations, how to save CPU cycles in your brain. You want to move your cursor from here to here. One way is to use the mouse, of course. Another way is to press Shift Enter. Shift Enter moves to the next problem in the file. And then out of reflex, Alt Enter. So you see, Shift Enter, Alt Enter, Shift Enter, Alt Enter to fix the problems. Here, the suggestions offered to you include wrapping the return value within an optional. What would that do? Optional of nullable address. It wrapped all of that automatically for me, right? So these are a lot of, there are a lot of tricks like that built inside IntelliJ for you to discover, right? So of course, this could be shortened like this, although I don't really think it's necessary. Good. This is one way to write. What we learned, we can open up brackets and generics very easy, and then Alt Enter will usually contain what we really wanted to do. Let's write the same thing in a different way. By the way, folks, it's all recorded. If you want to see it again, it's all for you afterwards. Return address. Now, let's start vice versa from the end. Let's start writing this first. Of course, I wouldn't type optional dot. I hope no one of you expects me to do that. One way to type it is optional dot of nullable. But then comes the terrible part, the horrible, the incredible part. Right here, at this moment, when he saw me typing, like, when he saw me doing exactly this, look, and then delete, and left arrow, parentheses. When he saw me doing that, there was one guy out there, his name was Nikolai, who emailed me once telling me that I work in IntelliJ IDEA team, and I thought he was using IntelliJ, but then I realized that he was developing IntelliJ for 15 freaking years. So this guy is one of the oldest developers at JetBrains developing IntelliJ. And this guy told me that when I am in such a case in which in which I want to wrap some further code within a method call that I'm just typing, what I should be instead doing, optional of nullable, is not to press enter or alt, but instead, optional of nullable, Control Shift Enter. Control Shift Enter will finish the statement, wrapping the token in the method call. Let me do it again. So I started with this. I actually type optional dot of nullable, Control Shift Enter. Bang. I was like, what the hell? Who knew that? Who could knew that except the one, this is his name, except the one who actually built IntelliJ? And this is my answer. I've reached the source. Okay, I found someone developing IntelliJ. Thank you. So basically, at that moment, and if you type this, there is a syntax error because you are returning an optional where you are expected to return an address. But don't despair, my friend. Alt enter will save the day. Alt enter and will turn your getter into returning an optional. So two ways of writing the same thing. Okay, one is to do Control Shift Space to wrap the address and then Alt Enter to wrap it optional, or the other way to type op.o null n and then Control Shift Enter, finish the statement, Alt Enter enter, return the optional. Now, I strongly advise you to take this recording and try to do exactly what I did yourself, step by step, step by step. Once you moved to optional, you can't ever do that, right? What you probably need to do is to start with the address, and in case there is something inside, maybe with that address, do address get type. Just one solution to the problem. Perhaps others are better, but it's one way. Okay, so that was Control Shift Space, okay, which finishes the expression that you're trying to write. There is more you can do with Control Shift Enter. For example, if random Control Space twice is less than .5, and now tell me, what should I was using Eclipse. I used Eclipse for 13 years. 13 years I used Eclipse. And in Eclipse, I was doing like right arrow, space, bracket, enter. 4 characters to just break my train of thoughts. In IntelliJ, if you are here, you want to complete the if, right? So Control Shift Enter. Again, Control Shift Enter. Let me do it again. When I press Control Shift Enter, 3 things happened. This appeared here, this appeared here, the spaces were nicely placed, and my cursor was in the right position. Again, Control Shift Enter. Okay, finishes the stuff that you're trying. The same would apply if you ever start writing public void some method. Control Shift Enter opens the method, and also with formatting and everything. So Control Shift Enter when you are when you finish what you really wanted to say, and you want to get in the next level or down in to write the body of a thing, of an if, of a for, of a method. Control Shift Enter will finish. The same Control Shift Enter we used previously to wrap optionals around, like this. Okay. What else do I have to show you? Yeah, Alt J. That's actually the reason why I really that triggered me to leave Eclipse back in the days. So imagine you have such a set of constants around, and you want to convert these. It can be not 3, but a dozen. You want to convert those into an enum, as you probably should, because they are categories. So it's quite reasonable to create an enum over here named category, and to want to put these three inside. Now, how would you put them inside? If you just copy paste them, it's not syntax correct. So what can you do? Here comes Alt-J. Alt-J is called multi-cursor. Right now, as you can see, I have 3 cursors. Oh my God, 3 times the salary, you wish. And then with these cursors, not only you can do stuff at once here, but what I really love most is that you can press end and you can actually edit code in multiple places. It's like, oh my God. So just Alt-J. Again, how do you do it? You select a token that you see that repeats on multiple lines. And the beauty is that this also works in CSS, in SQL, whatever file you are editing. This is not really refactoring. This is more like editing. Right? Also, I heard the Sublime editor and the Visual Code with sufficient plugins can do that. Multi-cursor, like this. So super cool stuff to use. Alt-J, it's called multi-cursor. I showed you complete statement. Did you complete an if? Control-Shift-Enter just now. What other things you could try to do, you could want to do? For example, imagine that, what the heck, this, yeah. Imagine that you want this to happen only when args is different than null. How can you do that? But I used to go like this, to say if, and then args, and then it's different than null. And then using the tricks I showed you, Control-Shift-Enter will put the spaces nicely in the brackets, but I still need to move the brace here. So there is a simpler way. You can just wrap the code that you select the code that you want to wrap in an if, press Control-Alt-T, surround with. If you are on Mac, you should find for the corresponding, you should search for the corresponding surround with, it's called, and then wrap within an if. And if you say args, different than null, done. The other things like this, which are useful in the same style, is doing a try catch. This is really saving a lot of typing. Try, putting the tabs, catch, way easier to go like this. So just select the code, wrap with. These are my favorites. This here, if, and that's it. Good. Okay. So this is called wrap. Surround with. Good. One more thing to show you, which is funny. You may say it's a bit stupid, but I find it very useful, oftentimes. If you want to put a bracket here, a parenthesis here, and a parenthesis here, what you can do is to select the text and put the parenthesis. And I just typed open parenthesis, and the matching closed one is automatically placed there. And the fun thing that this works for any parenthesis in the world, even for quotes or double quotes. Okay, so anything like that, you just select the text, the block of text, and you just type one of the characters, one of these, and you get automatically at the end of the selection the same things placed correspondingly. Useful within JavaScript, even with Java, SQL, quite useful. Could actually imagine a case in which you select, for example, category, you move one cursor here, and you put these under quotes on multiple lines. Imagining, I'm just playing. Good. So that's good. We saw this. Yes, of course, you know how to move back and forth, but did you know that Control-E, if you press it again, shows only the edited file? And maybe even better than that, Control-Shift-E displays to you the snippets of code that you've edited recently, only 4 or 5 lines, just enough to see what the heck was there. Right? This allows you to navigate easier to your code. Another thing that very few people know, when you copy some code or you cut, Control-X, when you cut some code and then planning to paste it somewhere else, and then you find some other code that you also want to cut, and you keep cutting, your clipboard gets dirty. But then if you want to get back your clipboard, Control-Shift-V, displays you everything that you've copied since you started IntelliJ. including credit card numbers in Chrome. Everything is there, stored, remembered. Who knows what you copied from Stack Overflow? So there you go. These are your the things that you copied. Very convenient. And don't think only IntelliJ can do that. Windows is already doing it anyway. Okay. Anyway, so what else? What else? Expand selection. Very good stuff. This one. You are, let's imagine here, and you, yeah, here. Although maybe I have time to just show you some piece of legacy code. Yeah, you are here in this 4, and yeah, right. Sapan, good question. If you are calling a method with some arguments, maybe more arguments than this. Let me put one more argument. Then what you can do is Control P. Control P from parameter displays you the types of the arguments that you are on, right? And there is another trick you can, I mean, this is for types of parameters, but if you want to see what this method was actually returning, you can put your cursor on the syntax block here and press Control-Shift-P. Control-Shift-P displays the return type of the selection. Let me try it again. Let's see here, this type, the type of this is string. If I expand to, let's see here, what is the return type of this? Optional of address. What is the return type of this? Optional of address. What is the return type of this? So Control P, Control Shift P from parameter. So play with these. Right, next. I wanted to show you one more thing. Imagine you're in such deep code base and you want to select, but the real code base can look much more terrible than the one here. It can look like this. Like a method that starts here, some piece of code that ends, ha, right? Good. Now, how can you select the block from, how can we select the if, for example? Now, one game we play, we click on the parentheses and then we follow the color, right? Because IntelliJ highlights the matching parentheses, but that's not reasonable for huge code bases. So what you can do is to start from this print line, for example, and Control W, pressing Control W more and more and more expands the selection to syntactic blocks, larger and larger syntactic blocks, up until you reach this place, for example. And then maybe try to extract a method. I don't know, I'm just saying. You can select code increasing in syntax. This works by parsing the code and selecting syntactical blocks larger and larger. Okay? And also you can contract by pressing Control-Shift-W, restrict it back to surround you. Right? This is what I meant here. Oops. By Control-W, which expands the selection. Control-W or Control-Shift-W. Also works in CSS, JavaScript, HTML. Really useful to take that freaking div and Control-X and put it somewhere else. So expand the selection. Any language with a syntax tree, you can use it to edit like that. Good. And for the last section, I want to talk about how we use Java 8 streams with IntelliJ. For example, imagine that these numbers over here, let's start with them, numbers, you want them to maybe double them, okay? Multiply them with 2. If you want to do that, most developers I know, they start with stream and then map. And that's true, that's the syntax that you need to follow. But IntelliJ, since 9 months ago, provides us a shortcut. We can just do map, and it will autocomplete the stream automatically. So stream map, and then let's say you want to double them, and then what? And then sum them up. Why not? So given a number n times 2, and then I want to sum them up. Oof, I have to map to integer first, so that I have a sum, right? Enter. And now, of course, Alt, Enter, Enter. Alt enter, enter will define the variable and put the semicolon that I'm missing over here. There you go, sum. So this is a writing. Let me have another example, perhaps. Suppose you don't want to sum them, but just collect them in a different list. Collect to list. Oh, doesn't work. Not map to int. I should just map them and then collect to list. CTL, collect to list. Done. Enter. Alt enter, enter. You get your new list. Okay. So you should try to not to type exactly what follows. Try to type in advance. I mean, collect, okay, list, collect to list, CTL, for example. Now, yes, I know I had it working until today, but for some stupid reason, it's the, yeah, I should have it, presentation assistant. I have it installed, but it doesn't work for some weird reason, upgrades or something. Sorry for that. And yeah, the macOS shortcuts, yeah, I know. What can I say? There is another recording of this somewhere which displays, but it's not the same, of course. Yeah, maybe it helps. Maybe it helps. How to put that? Let me just, everyone in the meeting, and that could help you. It's showing also all the, plus, yeah, I have it here on Windows. That's true. Anyway, so one more thing to show you before we wrap this up. One more thing to show you. Here, if you want to do the same thing, but suppose you are working with some legacy code that yeah, it's not really using streams, and it's very very large and doing it the old style, like numbers.for, now that we know how to do this trick, n, and then in the new list. And also, please note how lazy I am in typing, okay? NL, why? Because these are the first letters of the words of the thing that I'm looking for. New list, add, and then n times 2. And then right now, Control-Shift-Enter. Why? Because I'm missing spaces here and I don't have a semicolon. So right here with my cursor exactly there, Control-Shift-Enter. Right? And then at the end, let's do S out and new list. Good. Now, if you run into code like this, already written for you, and you want to move to Java 8 strings because you think it's cooler, easier to read, don't rewrite it from scratch, but try your luck and go click on the 4 and try Alt-Enter. If you click Alt-Enter, you will have maybe a surprise. Replace with collect. What the hell is that? Boom. What? It's the same thing we wrote before ourselves, but it's written automatically? What do you mean? Let me undo again to see that once more. So we had a 4 doing the same thing, doubling and adding to a list. Alt-Enter on the 4 replaces it with collect. Now, on the other hand, in case you run into a very, very weird, like, for example, filter n to be n only the odd numbers, and then doubling them, and then to string them, and then map again, and to string, and then creating into a string list this time. If you have a code like this, and of which you almost lose track, what the hell is happening over there? There are 2 of them. Oh my God. How to fix that? I really don't know. That's an integer. 2. N arrow n plus some like this. If you have a very, very long chain of filter, map, you might want at some point for readability, perhaps, to try to make it back in a 4. Perhaps this helps you understand what the hell is going on. Perhaps. I sometimes did this because it was just getting too messy. See what happens, and if in case you don't like it, you can put it in after you understand it. Perhaps you make it back into a filter and string. So Alt-Enter on a 4 could give you an option to convert it to a string if that 4 is only accumulating a value, either if that value is a list or a sum. This will also work if you are summing numbers. Let me demonstrate. Let's suppose that instead of having a 4 that adds to a list, you'd have an int sum that you are really interested in. You start with 0 and you do sum plus equal integer. Something in this style, right? And in the end, you just do sum. Sum, right? Okay, good. And then this thing, Alt Enter on the 4, replace with sum, turning it actually into a numeric stream as we did previously. So try your luck, Alt Enter on the 4th and see whether this code reads better. If it does, congratulations. So just Alt Enter, that's it. And that being said, I think we kind of cleaned this up. I mean, we've kind of gone through what I wanted to show. There are more things I'm preparing for next year. Talk about refactoring moves with IntelliJ. But for now, I think that's kind of it. Now, why is it important for you to learn and to practice this? Because, again, I insist, you don't want to commit your Alt-Shift-J. What? Alt-Shift-J? What does that do? It doesn't do anything for me. Alt-Shift-J. F3. Okay, I will try them. Thank you. F3 finds the token. Okay. To see first where it. No, interesting. Cycles to the tokens. One more thing. I want you to be fast because I want you to be able to decide which is the simplest solution to your problem. If you start editing the code and you polish the code and then you realize it's a bad idea, the whole stuff, then you'll feel sorry to undo. The whole point is to be able to try different ideas. All right. Alt J a couple of times and then F3. Let's see. I didn't get what it does. Let me go back to my. So Alt J. No. Wait. Alt J F3. It skips one. You skip that. I didn't know that. Thank you. So it continues from then on. Very cool. So it's like, I don't want this guy. I want just first and third. Very cool. So let's try again. Nice. F3, not this one, but this and this. Here. Cool. Thanks. I learned one thing today. Thanks a lot, here. Good. That's it, folks. In case you want to reach me, these are my coordinates over here. Thanks a lot for to Incubite, to Staffan, to Hardek, who made this possible. Personal list of such comments. I'm planning on blogging about that. I do have on my website a list of shortcuts. Let me get you to that. Shortcut cheat sheet in IntelliJ. You are curious, and there is also a Google Drive folder in which there is an editable sheet, and also with Mac shortcuts, in case you wonder. And but that's not all that I showed you today. That's 80% of them, but it's also focused more on refactoring than what we did. But yeah, it's here. Alt-Shift-J should select every occurrence. I got it, Yuri. I get it. Let's try that. Alt-Shift-J. It doesn't work for me. Control-Alt-Shift-J. Anyway, it was good. I also control. So in case you want to practice, take the recording, do all the steps I did yourself and practice them and key promoter plugin. Thank you. Key promoter plugin, which does the following. If it finds yourself doing a right click, refactor, rename, it will point you, my master. What if someone sees you using the mouse to refactor? What would your boss say? Next time, please do yourself a good, okay? So yeah, that's very, very, very useful. So key promoter X indeed. Cool. Thanks a lot, folks. I don't want to exceed the time, so that's it. If there are any closing words from your side, then idea Vim. when I hear Vim, my hair goes like, what? Why Vim? Why are we sinners? Why? I mean, I'm more of a mouse guy in most of the time, but Vim, it's too much. You know, how to exit Vim? There is a famous, one of the top-rated questions in Stack Overflow. I mean, it's like 4,000. What the hell, right? 4,000. You never see this kind of numbers here. So Vim, no, I'm not convinced about it. Perhaps I don't know what that is. It allows you to do what more exactly? It's a plugin from IntelliJ, I guess, right? Let's see. Emulation plugin. It's for the nostalgic guys, right? Yes, for those that dream about Vim. And yeah, if you are that guy, go. Can you please share all content you have on your drive? Wow, what do you mean all content? Define. I will go to jail if I share all my content from my drive, that's for sure. But probably you meant this thing. So here is my link to that drive over here in the chat. I hope that's what you meant. Any other questions, ideas? What, I don't know. Nice one with F3, Yuri. A really good one indeed. Other things, other ideas, questions? What's my favorite plugin? That kind of stuff. This is a personal recommendation of the lead developer of IntelliJ, Mario, it's called. It's a brilliant plugin, completely useless. Anyway, if there are questions, please don't hesitate now or maybe later. Control plus square braces. What does that do? Where should I press that? Well, it takes 1 hour to 30 minutes to process the recording, Alpesh. So then I will give it to Sapan and Hardik. What do you mean control? Oh. Ah, interesting. So I was here, control open bracket. So the control, and then this got me in the previous bracket in which I was, yeah, nice one. And control the closing bracket gets you to the end of the block. And if I press it again, it will get to a larger scoped block. Nice. Nice, really nice. To dig yourself out of the code. That's the code. So ace jump, I tried that. Give it a try. What can I say? I'm not. However, what I really recommend you learn, practice much more, Control E. With navigating, Control E can allow you to not touch the mouse to click on the tabs, because the tab order is always changing. It's very annoying, this one. And if you just Control E, the most recently changed files will be on the top. Right? Alpesh, you asked again the question. I will share it very soon, the recording. Control E, and I disabled tabs install. Exactly. I had a friend that did exactly that. That now is in the productivity something, distraction free, I think it's called, or nothing, not even tabs, nothing, just this. Go, my friend. And it only navigates with Control E. Because you typically know at least a part of the stuff that you're looking. So you just type. Another one, which is, you should probably all of you know it, just type the first letters of the word that you LC, you see, legacy code. Yeah, so if you are strong enough, do that. I am not that strong, I admit. Extraction free exit. Cool. The Vim guys will love this one. Okay. Well, thanks a lot for all of the attention, and I will share the recording very soon with Hardik and Sapan, and I don't know. Maybe we'll see each other for another one, maybe in the future.
Definitely, Victor. Thanks a lot for spending time with us. I'm pretty sure this will help a lot of people increase their productivity, right? And it's, as you mentioned, right? It's not just about coding faster, but it kind of gives you more confidence to experiment because you know that you can do all this stuff faster. I also want to say that this session can be a guiding light for people using other IDEs to search for similar feature as well. And yeah, I personally thoroughly enjoyed this session. I want to mention this to our community members that Victor does a lot of training sessions as well. We at IntelliJ had multiple sessions with Victor for topics like clean coding, refactoring, TDD, and also software design. And that full of knowledge, right? We thoroughly think that it has helped our developers look at their existing code with different perspectives and experiment. And the energy, Victor, you brought in this session and those training sessions has helped increase collaboration in our teams as well. So yeah, thank you very much, Victor. And thank you for sharing all those knowledge with the community. To the community members, software craftspeople India community, as always, we will have one session every month. We try to do that. And if you want to look out for what's coming next, in September, we have Ivan Lopez from Object Computing giving an introductory talk on the Micronaut framework with us. We'll be updating the meetup page soon. And all those people who are looking forward to the recording, once we have it, we will probably edit it and upload it to our YouTube channel. I think that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you for the nice words, and yeah, best of luck. Right, thank you. Have a nice day, and yeah, bye.
Right. Thank you, Victor. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye. So should I stop sharing?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.